Who is the JuST Institute? Our goal is to mainstream biodiversity and adaptation finance for the one that need it the most. Who we are? We are an institute that aims to create market for all stakeholders. We are aiming to enabling action for all stakeholders. We provide products and services to unlock finance for the most vulnerable to adapt to climate change, as well as to conserve biodiversity. We are a non-for-profit entity. We are based on our members. We are independent under management, and we want to show the example through our operation. Our focus is to build bridges between private and public sector, as, for example, some of our members, private representatives, as well as public one, as well as breaking silos between inclusive finance and conventional finance. We want to build synergies between the two sides of finance. We base our action on best standard, as well as we make them usable by all stakeholders. We focus on developing countries, but not only. Our unique value proposition is that to focus on interlinkages between climate, biodiversity, and inclusivity to enable a transition toward a just finance and economy for a just society, so that the most vulnerable can participate and benefit of the green and climate transitions. How do we reach our beneficiaries? Our beneficiaries mainly are small-scale producers and rural communities, as well as rural value chains, small and medium enterprises up to off-taker. We reach them through enablers. Who are our enablers? Our financial service provider, among which microfinance institutions, local banks, but also other entities as well that can channel finance to these beneficiaries. We work also with second-tier lending, sustainable finance value chain at large, so we can make the bridges between inclusive and conventional finance. Our theory of change. So different from our actor, we focus our action in inclusion. So we want to include, we want to make participate the ones that are most vulnerable to the climate and environmental transition. And if we start from there and we think about climate, we need to think about generation of resiliencies to decrease vulnerability. So we start climate change action through adaptation. That's in our entry goal. The majority of people that are excluded or are most vulnerable depend a lot from ecosystem and biodiversity. If you want to then do this action of adaptation consistently and permanently, we need to protect biodiversity and ecosystem they depend on. By doing that and preserving biodiversity, for example, with agroforestry, mangrove, soil restoration, or technology related to that, we support climate change mitigation, because such solution, for example, nature-based solution, contribute to mitigate climate change. And in that way, we realize a virtuous cycle that generate inclusive climate change mitigation. So our action is twofold. The JuST Institute enable and ensure that all finance is biodiversity, climate, and inclusive positive. So prepare financial intermediary institution to receive finance to build a portfolio for biodiversity conservation, climate change adaptation, and inclusivity. And we support financial intermediary institution to scale up the portfolio and outreach with dedicated finance. On the other side, we are inclusive. So we do not want to leave anyone behind. So for the institutions that are not ready yet to receive finance, we support them with tailored capacity building so that all stakeholders will be enabled to understand, identify, and manage climate and biodiversity risk. We work with financial intermediary institutions, in particular field officers and management at the level of financial intermediary institution, to support them on practical level how to identify the climate risk of their client and of their portfolio, how to identify the biodiversity risk into their portfolio and their client, and then how to identify solution in terms of technologies and in terms of practices that can compensate for this risk and support a better outreach to their client, increase productivity of their client, increase their revenue, generate resiliencies, and protect the ecosystems. Our contribution to the solution is the following. We see the transformation of the sector in such a way that various actors will be interconnected and will be able to provide resilient biodiversity finance to the financial chain that will be focused on to smallholder, farmer, provider and buyer, but up to conventional finance that will implement sustainable practices and technology, support mitigation of the climate change, adaptation and biodiversity promotion.